Welcome to this week's edition of Black Authors Matter TV, where we interview the latest movers and shakers in the African American literary community. You'll meet some old friends, discover new ones, and stay abreast of the latest book developments around the country and even the world. So sit back and relax for the next 2 hours with Black Authors Matter TV co-hosts Gwen Richardson and Dr. Rhonda Lawson.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of Black Authors Matter TV. I'm Gwen Richardson, your host for tonight, along with my co-host,
Dr. Ronald Lawson. Good evening, everybody.
And we have an amazing lineup tonight. We have some multiply published authors. So it's going to be a great night. We got a lot of information we can glean from them and ask them about all the things that they're doing. So we're going to get right to it in 1 minute. We're going to be giving a book away with the second interview with Victoria Christopher Murray. This is an arc of her new book, A Pair of Aces. So we'll be giving that away. We're going to do the trivia for it before we start the interview. So that way, we won't have the issue of people spilling the beans during the interview. The National Black Book Festival is 88% full in terms of vendor space. So if you're procrastinating, I would suggest you not procrastinate any longer. We're actually in late registration. Also, we have completed our lineup of featured authors for this year, and we've already put the flyer out there. We have a really nice lineup this year. We have 10 featured authors. And we hadn't gotten to 10 for a while. Before COVID, we used to do more. And then when we came back from COVID, we cut the numbers back just because we wanted to make sure people were still getting out. That was the issue then. And also, we have a drawing each month that we're giving away 2 VIP packages to 2 lucky winners. And It's based on there's a flyer with a QR code. You have to share one of our promo flyers on your own social media platforms, and then there's a form you fill out where you put the link, and then you get entered in the drawing. And for the month of May, Amy Johnson from Plano, Texas won, and she actually came to the festival last year, so she won the 2 VIP packages this year. So we have a lot that's going to be in store for this year's event. It's going to be amazing, and we look really excited. We've got some new things we're doing that we haven't done before, so we'll talk more about that as the time draws near. But our first guest is not a stranger to the show, and her name is A.C. Arthur, and she is multi-published, and she also has a book event she does, the One Love Reunion. And I can't remember if the One Love Reunion is every year or every other year or when she does it. But A.C. Arthur, welcome back to Black Authors Matter TV.
How y'all doing?
We're doing great.
How are you? I'm well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and just remind us, your One Love Reunion, do you do it every year? Are you doing it this year?
Yes, it is this year in July. I generally do it every year. I did take a year off last year.
Okay.
To kind of regroup a little, but yeah, it is this year.
And what city is it in?
Yeah.
This year's in New Orleans, July 22nd through the 25th.
Oh, you're in my stomping grounds.
Yep. We're at the Sheraton on Canal Street.
Yeah, I know exactly what Sheraton you're talking about.
Yep.
Okay, it's a lot going on. It's a lot of book events in July, different places.
It's a lot of book events in general.
It is, in general. They're popping up all over the place. And I guess I can kind of sort of announce my project because of that. But I'll be releasing a book soon called How to Plan a Book Event Without Losing Your Mind or Going Broke. And
that is going to be a very good book.
because of the show, I've interviewed just about every person who's done a book event. And
Mhm.
so it's for, and I always, when people come to ours, they always say, you know what I could do? I wish we could do something like this in our town or whatever.
Mhm.
And so it's a step by step. It's a real thing. And I've included, quotes from people that we've interviewed. Um, you're in there. So it's going to be good. It's coming out. I wanted to be out by the end of July, but we'll see. But
Mhm.
I'm close to being finished. Then I have to get my editor is involved. It's not going to be a thick book. It's
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
be like 120 pages, something like that.
But
So
it's
some
good.
people,
It'll be a good resource because I think sometimes people just look at events popping up and then they're just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have an event, and they don't really know all the ins and outs and stuff happens. And so I
yeah,
think it'll be a good resource.
Well,
yeah,
the
and this,
the biggest thing about events is that, respecting the people who have invested into coming to your event.
Mm-hmm.
Because people spend money to register for your event, then they spend
Right.
money for hotel and flight. And so when I do my events, it means a lot to me to make sure that I'm not just advertising to the authors who are coming, but I've got to advertise to the readers who are going to support these authors.
Right.
And
Right.
so I think often we forget that there's a balance between trying to get sponsors and trying to get the authors come out, and we do all of that and we think, okay, I got 100 people or 50 people,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, coming to my event, but we forget, oh shoot, I still have to let people know to come to the event.
I have to let people know to come, and you have to be a good hostess when people
Yes.
get to your event. Like it's
Yeah.
not just sell the ticket and then they come and then it's just whatever. Like you have to really be a good hostess in your planning and in your execution. You have to make sure to the best of your ability that everybody is getting what they paid for out of the
Right.
event.
People want to feel special. They know that
Right.
there's many other authors there, but they still want to feel
Yep.
special. They want to feel like, okay, I'm not just another number to you.
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah. And then having a team that's on
Mm-hmm.
board with you. And we've had the same team for years, and our
Mm-hmm.
team is incredible. I will put it up against any team anywhere in the nation. They just are great. And there was one big event in the course of writing this. The other Rhonda Garcia, brought this event to my attention. It was a white event. It was like a year ago, and I can't even remember the name of it, but it's in my book. And it was their first time. The first time you do something is what you don't know what you don't know. That's what trips you
Right.
up. And
Right.
they had gotten all this space and told people there were going to be people there, and none of it worked out. And then they got bad
Yeah.
press. So when the press gets involved, then
Yeah.
you
That's
know,
really bad. Well, because
yeah,
everybody runs to social media now with their
yes,
complaint.
that's true.
So as soon as something goes wrong, everybody's on social media. And
That's
don't even
true.
give you a chance to try to fix it. Like they just run right to social media and talk about it. And then that can pick up really, really quickly.
And
Yeah,
Threads is the place. You want to hear the tea on anything out
Yes.
there, go to Threads
Yes.
because they are on Threads big time.
Yes, and they are dragging everybody and their mother for everything every single day. I
well,
said,
Yeah.
do you
I've
people have a
signed up.
job? Because my goodness,
I signed up on Threads, but that's as far as I've gotten. So I haven't
you
been on Threads,
you're not missing anything but drama. Let me tell you.
Oh,
It
okay.
is
Well,
drama. It is
It
drama, but
is.
see,
it's
I
good
haven't learned,
insight though. It's good insight.
I
Yeah,
I don't know if I
sometimes
want
it's
to
just
adopt
tiring.
drama. I don't want to bring on I just dealing with the drama from all the balls that I'm juggling all the
Hmm.
time is enough. And so I don't know if I want to sign, because you know what I've learned over the years, because I've been doing events and major projects, and just this is what I do for, like, since I was a kid. I was planning stuff and getting people together, and I found critics abound.
Hmm.
Most people who are negative and critics, um, they don't actually do anything themselves.
Mm-mm.
And so you have to take some of with a grain of salt. Now, I believe in constructive criticism and I appreciate it. But a lot of times when people criticize something, they don't have complete information. So
Mhm.
they're operating on, like, saying, well, why couldn't this be free? Well, nothing is free. So you're
Mhm.
starting from a false premise.
I
you
mean,
know,
because somebody got to pay for something. Like,
somebody has to pay, which means me or whoever's over
mhm.
the event, whatever the event is.
Right.
So, everything has to balance, and Rhonda's message about people feeling like they got what their money's worth.
Mhm.
That's really important.
Yeah.
So, how is your one love? Because it's coming up. It's next month. It's
Mhm.
it's coming up quick.
Mhm.
Yes, yeah, tell us about your
Tell us
event. What's
about it.
going to
And
happen?
it's funny because I was the balance of writing books and promoting books and doing this event is a lot. And each year that I do it, it comes up even faster. It's like, so I took a year off and I'm like, oh, I have all this time. I have all this time. And then before you know it, it was January 2026. And I'm like, oh my Lord, I don't have all this time. And I still had to prepare to go to an event last week. And I went to Black Romance Book Fest last weekend. So I'm preparing as an author to go to that, knowing that in the back of my mind, we are at crunch time. Why are you going to an event for yourself as an author and you're at crunch time for One Love? And so as soon as I came back from Black Romance, it was all of these things. I sat down and I made a to-do list and it's like 3 pages. And so every day I'm like checking off this. Okay, I did this and I did this and I did this. But it's a lot. At this point where all the tying up all the things, finalizing the program and ordering stuff, the bags and the books and shipping things and all of those little things now are like, I have to do these all day, every day. And so I keep looking at the list and I'm like, oh my gosh, but you have to write and you have to do this. But also we have to do all of this event stuff. So I'm excited. I'm always excited, but I'm always very anxious at this point. And I'll be this way until July 25th at like 11
After
o'clock
it's
at
over.
night. At like 11 o'clock at night.
Exactly.
Right. I'll be like, oh, then I'll breathe. But right now is definitely in that really stressful time of just pulling everything together.
Yeah. Our event is the end of October. So what happens for me, the summer, like right now is June. So I'm like, okay, it's the beginning of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Before I know it, it'll be the end of the summer. And
Yep.
then
And then
then
it'll be
I'll
your
be in the
crunch
crunch
time.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
That
my
time
my
comes.
event my event isn't until February, and I already feel like I'm out of time. So,
It's
And it's funny because even when when that one is over, you're like, okay, I'm gonna start sooner. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. And then time still finds a way to just get away from you, and you still end up in this crunch time. Sometimes I actually feel like I function better in this time. I tell people all the time that's my toxic trait because even when I'm writing a book, I write better when I'm right up
with the
against that
deadline.
deadline. Hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Some
Yeah.
people operate, you know, I take care of every detail a month before, because
Hmm.
the month before, that's when you have crises. Something happens
Yep.
that you have to deal with. And so if you have the details taken care of already, whatever that
Hmm.
is, and it could be anything, it's never the same thing every year, but
No,
it's
it's not.
something that happens. It could be your
Hmm.
caterer can't do it. It could be anything. So
It's always something,
it's
something you have
always
to regroup about.
something you
Hmm.
have to regroup about. But that's the nature of it. And we must be gluttons for punishment because all three of
Because we
us
keep doing
continue
it.
to do it.
yeah,
That is
every
the
year I'm
truth.
going to take a year off, and then I don't do it. So I
And look,
get
I took that year off and it was great. And then I was right back into it. I kind of missed it a little bit when I was going to other events. I was like, oh, it's no One Love this year. So I kind of missed it. But then right now at this moment, I was like, maybe we should have took 2 years off. So it's a toss up. I don't know. Like I said, it's a toxic trait.
But the one year I did say I was taking a year off, I still wound up doing something. It was on a way smaller scale, but I wound up doing something. So I still count that in my annuals.
Right.
It's still part of the annual. It was just
Right.
smaller that year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've never taken a year off. This is year 19. So next year is the 20th anniversary. That's going to be a major thing,
Oh,
you know.
okay. Yeah, you gotta
So
do something big for that.
yeah, so I don't know what it's going to be yet, but we'll do something. But let's talk about your new book that just came out.
Okay.
And what book? Because what last time you had it was dozens of books you had done. So how many are you at now? And then don't you write under different names?
I do. I write under two different names. I think I am approaching 140. I'm probably getting close to
Okay, so I was way
120.
off on my numbers.
And I write as AC Arthur and I write as Lacey Baker. And Lacey is my more Hallmark movie type persona. Um,
Okay.
so those you're not going to get the steamy sex scenes. I'm usually not killing people in a Lacey book. I save that for AC. Um,
Okay.
so that's how, and the reason for doing that was the reason for doing two different names is that a lot of times when people read a book and they pick it up and they're like, oh, I like this, and they go back to your backlist and they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to read everything in your backlist. And I never wanted somebody to pick up a AC author book and expect it to be sexy and suspenseful and then get a Hallmark movie. Um,
Okay.
because then they're like giving me, 1 star because I didn't deliver on what they expected because they read AC before. So I
Okay.
knew when I was going to start writing that type of story that I would change the name so that people could I could build a brand for each one and people would know what they're getting when they pick up a book by that author.
Okay. But you have more by AC Arthur than you do Lacey, don't you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
AC is the moneymaker right now. So
okay. So and now you're releasing how many books with that many books? You must be releasing 4 or 5 books a year, or is it
um
more than that?
AC does. AC usually releases 3 to 4 a year.
Okay.
Lacey is on a slower schedule. Last year, Lacey had one new release. This year, she won't have any. But then next year, she'll have two. So
Okay.
I kind of, it's almost like a palate cleanser too. Like I tend to write like I read. And so when I am writing a lot of AC and I'm writing a lot of sexy stories and suspenseful stories, then I start to feel like, oh, I need something softer. I need
Mm.
just a little bit, just a little break from this. And then I go and then I can write something for Lacey. Now that's in an ideal world, but also when I sign contracts for each one, then clearly I have to just write the book that I'm contracted to write at that time.
Okay. So are you a hybrid? You
Yes.
okay. So
Yes.
some stuff published and some traditional.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you do like have people under your umbrella? Do you do AC Author Presents? Have I seen
No.
that on anything? Okay.
Mm-mm.
All right. So it's just your
It's
writing.
just
You're not
me. Yeah, it's
okay.
just me. It's just me.
Okay. So do you have a copy of the Lovely Darkness, your new book that's out?
I
Or
d-
is it only on ebook?
no, it's ebook and it's print. So I did a short print run of a deluxe copy of it. So the deluxe copy has like the sprayed edges and it has end papers and it's really, really pretty.
Hmm.
But I didn't do a regular paperback. I just did the deluxe paperback and I did the ebook and it's coming out in audio August the 4th. It will be out in audio.
Okay. So do you have a copy of any of them? Do you have the
With me right now?
deluxe on
Of
that you
course
can
not,
show?
because
That you
I'm
can show?
terrible like that. But I can get
No.
one here in about 5 seconds.
Okay. So that's the edges thing is now popular. Some
Yes.
things become popular. It's like that somebody does them, and then everybody starts doing it, or not everybody, but a lot of people
A lot of people.
start doing the same thing. They start a trend, and then there'll be a different trend.
Well, I think that special editions and deluxe copies are a big thing now. And I think that they came about more so to help push an author's backlist. So last year, I re-released um, 8 of the Donovan books, the 8 books that made up the Secret Sun portion of the series. And when I re-released them, I did new covers for the ebooks, and then I put those 8 books into an omnibus and gave it a different cover, and I had decorated chapter pages in each one, and released it that way so that people can um, buy the omnibus with get all the books together. So it's not 8. So that is not 8 books together because that was going to be a lot. I was trying to do it 2 books together. That was still going to be a lot. So it's 3 books. The 8 books are in 3 print volumes. But it enabled me to like sort of breathe a new life into that portion of the series. That portion of the series, the Donovan series, is 20 years old this September. The very first Donovan book came out 20 years ago in September. And so there was a portion of it that I felt like readers had already read. Like my core readers had already read this, but there are always new readers. That there are always people who have not heard of me, have not read any of my books. And so when I re-released them, I put the books in Kindle Unlimited for that purpose. So there are probably lots of readers in Kindle Unlimited who never heard of these books because they were never in Kindle Unlimited. So I put the 8 ebooks in Kindle Unlimited, and then I did the special edition omnibus book. So I think the special editions and deluxe editions, they help authors be able to really start to promote their backlist.
Okay.
It's a great idea. Because it's just like you said, just because a book is a certain number of years old does not mean that everybody in the world has read it. So
Right.
this can open you up to an entirely new readership. And right now, authors, not just authors, but book influencers are getting pretty big on social media right now.
Yeah.
And this is a great way to get your book in front of some new people. If a book influencer happens upon that book, or you're able to connect with a book influencer and they promote your book, that's a whole new audience for you.
It is. I've been to events where there have been a lot of book influencers, and I'll meet them and they are like meeting me for the first time. They don't know anything about my backlist or what I've written, or they'll see me like on a panel and then we'll talk after the panel and they're like, yeah, I've never heard of your books. So it's really good to be able to go back and refresh it. Plus you refresh it for marketing reasons. I've seen posts from readers who are like, oh no, I think it's a money grab when authors are putting out a new book, but putting out an old book, but giving it a new cover. And it's not necessarily a money grab, it's a marketing idea because marketing changes, trends change. And so when this book is out 10 years ago, this cover worked 10 years ago.
Right.
That cover and that blurb worked 10 years ago. But now, today, I could be losing sales because the algorithm is not picking up the keywords that were popular 10 years ago.
Or 5 years. I mean, the keyword thing it changes so quickly. And book influencers, that's like a new category. That's like a new job. And a lot of the influencers tend to be younger. They also are more tied into what's recently been released. So they don't know that, the books that have been around for 20 and 30 years.
That's a great point, Gwen, is that they are keyed into what's recently been released, because you'll see book influencers saying, oh, this is the only book where a woman is being loved, right? And then authors like us, we're sitting here like, excuse me?
Right. Like I've written that 2, 3, 4 times. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, just
Hey,
because it's new to you doesn't mean it's new. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Exactly. And so I do, periodically, like now I'm at a place where I have a few things that I am repackaging and re-releasing because I have a lot of things that are older, but the old is the new. And so I am going to repackage and re-release them and promote them like I just wrote those words yesterday. Like because for somebody, they are just going to find this
Right.
when with this release. And so I'm
it's
always looking for
a
new
great,
readers.
and
I
it's
tell
a great
authors
way
all
to
the
dust that
time,
story off.
hmm,
You know, it's a great way to dust that story off. You go back and read
exactly,
it like, man, I wish I
exactly.
had written it this way, or I wish I had done this scene that way, or made,
Hmm.
or oh shoot, I found a typo. How did I miss that
Yeah.
typo 20 years
And
ago?
so I will go back. I do go back and do a reread, and I try to make sure that things in the book are timely. But
Yes.
I have had to stop myself from getting too deep in the weeds of rewriting things because I'll be rewriting that whole book. Because I'm a different writer now than I was then. So I will be trying to change all kinds of things and it'll take me forever. So I have tried to, kind of get myself to a place where no, we're just looking for typos. We are looking for anything that's outdated, things like that. That's what we're fixing. Sometimes I try to add like a new scene or an epilogue or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you give your characters cell phones? Because we're talking 20 years ago
I
now.
do, I do, I do, I
Yeah, the
do.
technology has changed.
Yeah, because I wasn't saying a lot of those things then. Um, and I think there was one where I was saying like internet a lot, and I was like, yeah, nobody says that now. Like, so I had to like rework that because it was weird. And I
Yeah.
said, what something I said about a phone booth. I was like, girl, when did you write this? Like, there is repetitive.
Oh, I think my first book had him stop at a phone booth or something.
Mhm. I was like, let's take this out. It's funny to go back and see the things and
Yeah.
see, the change in time. But I do take those things out and try to rework it so that it makes sense. So new people won't read it and be like, why'd she put this in here? Like, where are these people at?
Well, it
So
could be historical fiction now.
look, and most times I feel like that's what it is.
With the technology changing. So were you able to pull a book because we
I
want people to see the
did. I
lovely
have it.
dragons?
See that? It's
Okay,
so
that's
pretty.
beautiful. It's a
It
beautiful
is. And
cover.
the
Oh,
sprayed
the
edges.
edges.
It's
It's
so
just
pretty. And then
beautiful.
we have
Yes,
the end
sir.
pages. The end pages are so pretty.
Oh, okay. Now
I love
I'm
it.
I'm wondering just for point of information, how expensive is it to do you do that with your releases that you do yourself, self-published, or only with the traditional publisher?
What the
The
deluxe?
like special editions and deluxe
Okay,
content.
so when I did the omnibus last year, that was my first like special edition omnibus deluxe kind of copy. Or I guess first of all, we weren't calling them omnibus when I did it 20 years ago. When I did the so when I did wrote the secrets, when I wrote those 8 books years ago, I put them in I put them in ebook. And then I did have 2 or 3 of them lumped together in one book. But like we used to do anthologies. And so then I didn't call it an omnibus. It was just these books were all together. These 3 books were in this volume. And I had a volume 1. I think I have volumes 1 through 4 at that time.
Okay.
But when I put them out this time, everybody's saying omnibus now. So I was like, yeah, that's what we're saying now. So that was very expensive. It was very expensive.
Okay. Okay.
From the cover to the artwork on the inside to the print, for the formatting, the printing, and I did not take all of that into consideration when I was like, oh yeah, that's what I'm doing. Um, so it was pretty expensive, and I know that sometimes readers are like, well, why does this cost so much? Um, like I think I paid $100 for an omnibus last year. And my husband was like, why did you just pay $100 for a book? And I'm like, because I understand exactly how much goes into this. I understand how
Right.
much money goes into getting this book printed. When I decided to do this deluxe edition, you would have thought I learned my lesson from doing the omnibus. But I was like, oh, this is just one book. This one shouldn't be so bad. But adding the sprayed edges, so if I had just gotten just sprayed edges, just sprayed a color, but no, I couldn't do that. I was like, no, I want something cute. So I had the sprayed edges design. So I had to pay for that design and then pay for it to be sprayed on the edges. And then I
Okay.
have to pay for the end papers to be designed, and then the interior formatting. Those chapters have design pages. So yes, it does add up. It does, because the printer will nickel and dime you to death.
I
It
can
does.
believe
It
Well,
definitely
we're at
adds.
the end of our time, AC. So thank you so much for being a guest. It went by so fast.
Anytime, I did.
Yeah. And congratulations on everything. Good, much success with your event. I know it'll be
Thank
great.
you. Thank you.
And we'll see you next time, another time, maybe a year or so from now, when you have
Okay.
five or 10 more books.
Okay. Right. Prayerfully, prayerfully.
Well,
Yeah,
All
and
right.
I'm gonna see you on the net because I got to fuss at you because I never been to one of your events and we're gonna have to fix that.
Okay. Okay. My DMs are open, ma'am.
Yes, we're gonna talk.
All right. Y'all take
all
care.
right. Take
All right.
care.
Bye.
Good night. Okay. Well, she's doing a lot.
She is.
But you know, busy people get things done. That's what they say.
Well, busy people are used to being busy, so yes,
Yes.
people get
Yes.
things done. Isn't that right, Victoria?
Yes. Speaking of
That's
busy
right.
people,
That's right. I was sitting here writing until you just popped me in.
Victoria is always writing. She'll be at a book
always
signing right.
writing.
No, always writing.
Always
And
writing.
I think that's a good sign because that means that for all these years I've had a contract.
This is true.
That's true. You've been writing a long time. So we're going to talk about your book, but before we do, we want to do our trivia because we're giving away the ARC for a pair of aces, and we wanted to ask the question before we got into the interview. So whoever wins won't already have the answer. So,
Okay.
okay. So the trivia for a pair of aces is the main characters, Eunice Carter and Polly Adler, work together to bring down which New York City crime boss. So we need the name of the New York City crime boss that they bring down, and you'll get this arc. And this hefty there. It's quite a few pages.
Wait,
So,
how many
and
pages you got? That does look pretty hefty.
I don't know which book this is of Victoria's, but Victoria, she creates lanes and then she goes full on in the lane. Then she created a different lane and now she's full on the next.
I guess I'm just a creator of lanes. Isn't that
Oh,
interesting though?
it
Like
is.
I didn't mean to write like Christian fiction, but I created that lane. And then when I wrote Stand Your Ground, everybody thought I was going to create that social commentary lane. And now
Mhm.
I'm doing historical fiction. I didn't create that lane, but a lot of people followed me into that lane. So,
Yes, yes. Because it seemed like after the personal librarian came out, then
yeah.
it was a flood after that of and it still is still lots of books being released, historical fiction. There's so many
Yeah,
stories.
historical fiction has really had a resurrection. A lot of
Yeah.
people are getting into it. I'm actually reading Rashonda's book right now. What is it? To
Love from
With
Harlem.
with Love from Harlem.
yes, with Love from Harlem, and I'm enjoying the book.
Yeah.
But and it's so nice because every time she mentions a name, it's like, oh, I've heard of that person. Oh, I've heard of that person.
Yeah, yeah. Isn't that nice? I think that's what all of us love about historical fiction when we see little seeds that we
Yes,
know about the
yes.
history.
Yeah, and in my case, I never had heard of Hazel Scott.
Yeah, neither
So
had I.
when I
I've
read that book,
heard of
I
her
learned a
either,
lot.
but I've heard of all of the people around her. I've heard of all of
Right,
the
Sure.
people in her
right.
circle. And then I felt sad that I had not heard of her. I had even done a report when I was in school on Adam Clayton Powell, but I didn't know anything about his wife.
Yeah. Well, that's like when I wrote Harlem Rhapsody. I knew Langston Hughes, County Cullen, Jean Toomer. I knew everybody except for the woman who discovered them all.
Right.
Yes.
Hmm. So, I this is not about any of this, but I had meant to ask you this a year ago whenever I saw you last and I forgot. So, are you all still publishing under Brown Girls Books?
No,
Rashawn?
no, we
Okay.
stopped about 2, 3 years. We stopped really when my career didn't go like this. It didn't go like my career went like this,
Right.
straight up.
Right.
And it took me out. I couldn't do anything else.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
that I think that's a teachable moment because I don't know if you expected something like that to happen when that opportunity was presented to you. And you could have easily turned it down because the person that you wrote with didn't look like you, and you were
Yeah.
like, this isn't gonna work. But what was it in your heart and mind that said, let me take this opportunity?
Well, it was interesting. It was interesting when Marie reached out to me. I didn't know her. She didn't know me. And I was like, this doesn't even make sense. I don't know anything about historical fiction. But I didn't know how she wanted to work with me when I first got it. So I didn't know if it was going to be I was editing or whatever. And then when she said, well, we'll write the book together, I thought it would be interesting. And I didn't expect any of it, not any of it, Rhonda. Like, I didn't even expect that the contract that we got. And it was just that people saw something I didn't even see. I just thought it would be fun. It wasn't like I was selling a whole bunch of books and or anything. So I said, let me just try it. It was going to be different. We thought it was going to be one book. Never ever thought she just needed a person to write the personal librarian with her because it was a Black character. She didn't have any other thing in her mind down the road. And it was just that we enjoyed the process of writing the book together so much. And then when we went out on tour together, people really responded to us as much as the book.
Mm-hmm.
And so people love seeing Marie and I together. Black readers, white readers love seeing us together.
Yeah.
And she really wanted to be here tonight, but she's actually in South Carolina on a family thing with her parents who forced her to go. Who forced her to go? So
Yeah, the publisher did want you to be together for the interview.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but
yes, and she wanted to be here.
mhm.
Um, so it was just something, Rhonda. This was God putting me in this place to do this. And it's really interesting because the reason I know it was all divine ordained for me, and I'm not trying to preach anybody, this is just me. The reason I know it is because all these years that I've wanted to write, and so I thought I was already walking in my purpose all these years. And then all those years, 25 years that I was writing, that wasn't my purpose. That was preparation for my purpose. This is my purpose.
Yeah. If you hadn't had those 25 years, you may not have been ready for this.
That's right. That's absolutely right, Gwen. And not only not ready for it, I think one of the reasons, like even Rhonda's saying, that you're enjoying historical fiction and it's having this kind of comeback is because it's written like those other books I used to write. You know what I mean? It has
Mhm.
the full drama, it has the full story, it has everything in it. And that's because of the 25 years of the preparation.
How do
Yeah.
you feel that your writing has changed since you
I'm,
started getting deeper into historical fiction?
I think I've matured, but I think I was maturing as a writer anyway. Like in the beginning, and even Rashonda and some of the other writers tease me about this. I didn't like to write silly books. I didn't like silly books. I didn't like silly characters. I had a character in one of my novels, May Francis, and when I started out with her, I didn't want her to be silly. I never occurred to be silly. But as I wrote her more and then she got involved with Rachel and Jasmine, she became a silly character. And so I've never liked that. I've always wanted to write mature books. I never wanted to write books that were all the way out with so much drama. There was always drama. Like Stand Your Ground is one of my favorite books. Lots of drama in there, but it was a mature story.
Yes.
And so that's what I've always preferred, to write mature stories. And historical fiction, they're all mature stories.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm totally with you on that. I just don't like writing drama just for drama's sake. I know
Drama, oh my God.
they turn the page and there's more drama. They turn the page and there's more, and people love those books, but that's just not
That's
in
not me. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
I'm
not.
and I'm too
That's
old
not
for
me
that
either.
now. I'm
Yeah,
too old.
well, yeah, the drama that would be written about today is totally different drama from what
That's
you
a
would
good
have written
point.
25 years ago.
That's
The,
a good point.
the drama
That's a good
is,
point.
is on another level now.
Yeah,
So,
that's like when you
yeah,
had Kush City, when you had the store, we would come in and sign there. Those were different kind of drama books. Yeah, it'll
right.
be different today. It would
It
be
would be.
diff. And you know what? That's a very good point, when because I was recently I did a in conversation with Kennedy Ryan, and this is not about drama, but it shows how as we've matured, the market still stays down here. I was doing an in conversation with Kennedy Ryan, and I said on a scale of 1 to 10 that her spice level was 12,863. And so she laughed about it. Everybody laughed about it. But then went online the other day, and somebody was saying, I want to read a Kennedy Ryan book. Are her books spicy? I heard score was spicy. And everybody in the group was saying that it was a 2.
Okay.
I was like,
So
okay,
what?
see, I don't even want to read their books.
Right.
Maybe it was a 12,000 for you.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what
They
I mean.
want a
So,
lot more of a way lot more.
but I can't
And
imagine more than what I read. I mean,
yeah.
on a scale of 1 to 10, it was 12,000 to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was 1 to 2 to them. And so
Okay.
I think the difference is that she worked that spice in the story. It was part of the story. And so it was good for me. It worked for me. But other people who want spice probably wanted every page.
Yeah, or page one. If it starts off with her legs were open and they were on the desk, this is but a lot more graphic language.
Yeah.
On page one, that's not a book for me.
That's not a book for me.
But it has an audience. That's
It
just
has
That's what
not
I
an
was
for
about to
me.
say.
audience.
It's about the audience. So
Right.
the
It's
thing is,
about
when an author gets very popular, Kennedy has a lot of commercial appeal right now. And when she has commercial appeal, people of different audiences are going to be purchasing her book.
yeah.
When you're more of a niche author, and then you have a niche audience, there's a certain audience that's
There's
going
a
to be
certain
attracted
audience
to
for
your
that.
book.
There's
Right.
a
And so
certain
you
audience for
know
that.
to market to that audience.
Yeah.
And when you become mass appeal and everybody's buying the book because that's the book that's popular right now, you're going to have people of different audiences purchasing your book. And some
Yeah.
people think it's a 12,000. Some people are going to think it's a 2.
That's a wide range.
That's a wide range. But the thing is that I enjoyed that book as much as anybody else. And the two people were saying that they enjoyed it too. But if you want spice, you got to go someplace else. I was like, I don't even
Where
want to
is
know you.
that? Where is that?
I don't
What
even want.
road?
I didn't ask no questions, Gwen, because I don't want to know. I don't ask none, won't be none. I didn't want to know.
Well, that's why also when people recommend books, it's important for me that the person who recommends reads the kinds of books I like. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's a good
We're
point.
kind of we have a meeting of the minds, and I like a well-written book.
Me
I don't
too.
mind drama, but it has to be well written. And and the character development has to be on point.
Yes.
And if it doesn't have that for a foundation, it doesn't grab me. And and some other people might like it, and that's great.
Yeah.
But I
And I
need
just,
the
isn't it
elements
great?
of writing as a writer and as a former editor. I need the elements of a story. I need it to be tight. It doesn't have to be a few pages, but it has to be a tightly written story.
Yes, I
So,
agree.
and your books are always very good. I haven't read every single book, but I read a lot of them.
Mhm.
So we're going to say who won the book, so then we can get into the book. And Mama Tony, I think, won it. I
Yep.
was looking up and to see
It
who.
was Tony Benita.
Tony Bonita,
Hi,
and
Tony. Congratulations.
she said the answer is Lucky Luciano. That's the name of the
That's who
crime
it
boss
is.
that the book is about. So tell us about how, first of all, also it's a Reese book club selection,
Yeah, it's a
which
Reese
is
Book Club pick.
amazing.
Awesome.
So that's, it's big time when you get those kinds of opportunities. And so, and
Yeah,
I've heard from somebody else that they tell you about that like months in advance, but you can't tell anybody.
yeah,
Is that
you
right?
can't, I mean, you won't. Well, so with Good Morning America, though, we found out about 6 months in advance. With
Okay.
Reese, we found out 2 months in advance. We were a
Okay.
very, very late pick.
Oh wow.
Um, and so that really changed. I've been working so hard over the last 2 months. So yeah, but you find out months in advance because they have to do the cover. They have to go back. And so
Mm.
they had to rush everything with our book.
Okay. All right. So, how did the Pair of Aces come about as a story that you wanted to write with Marie?
So you know what's so interesting? I call Marie the treasure hunter in this relationship because she has always been writing historical fiction. So she just
Mm.
knows how to go and find stories. So after we wrote The Personal Librarian, and we realized, okay, we're going to want to write together. We were looking in that book for a story of a Black woman and a white woman who worked together, who were friends, and so I knew what we were looking for, but I didn't know where to look. And Marie always knows where to go find them. And she found the story of Eleanor Roosevelt to Mary McLeod Bethune. So
Mhm.
with this one, we knew we wanted something different. We knew that I'm not sure we knew that we wanted the people to be enemies or anything, but we knew that we didn't want to write another friendship story. But we knew we wanted to have a Black woman and a white woman. And Marie used to be a prosecutor. She used to be a litigator, a New York City litigator. So she was in the corporate side, but still. And when she saw Eunice's story years ago, she always thought it was so interesting. And when she realized what it would take to build a case against Lucky Luciano, she knew that she had to have some inside help. She knew she had to have insight, and she had to have someone who knew a lot. And who better to know than the most notorious? I always say she was the most notorious madam in New York, but really she was one of the most notorious madams in the country.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So,
that's how the story came about. And it just seems so timely because these women were, one Black, one white, one a prosecutor, one a madam. So they're on two opposite sides of the law and they don't really like each other. And what
Oh,
I love about this story, because they don't know each other, they don't like each other. Polly doesn't trust the prosecutor. And
right.
the prosecutor's looking at Polly like, you're as bad as the men abusing these girls. You're a madam. But you don't have to be friends to be allies. And
Right.
so the two of them come together. They both want to see Lucky gone because Eunice wants to take him off the streets because she's a prosecutor. Polly wants him gone because he's trying to infiltrate her business. And so they both want him gone for different reasons, but they have to work together to make it happen.
So how do you
uh,
do research for a book like this? How do you even get started?
So it's real once you find the person, and that's one of the things I love about writing biographical novels, you then just go into a rabbit hole on the person. So Eunice Carter is the grandmother of Stephen L. Carter, who wrote The Emperor of Ocean Park. Is that what it was?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
yes.
And
Uh-huh.
he's a Yale professor. So he wrote a biography on his grandmother called Invisible Life that was totally about, well, not just totally, it was about all about her life, but really focused on the Lucky Luciano case. And so that was almost like having firsthand information because he told us stuff about his grandmother that we didn't even put in the book, but in that book.
Mm,
And so that was one place that we started. Then there was another biography on Eunice that I read. Then there was an autobiography on Polly Adler. She wrote her story. And then there was a biography on Polly Adler. And then I spent so much time at the Schomburg going
mm,
through all of the information. One of the things that I always look up on when I'm doing historical research is I look up their obituaries. I almost start at the obituary because
mhm,
that has everything they accomplished. That's the truth of what they accomplished. And then I know from the obituary what school they go to, so I can go back and look at that. I know where they were born, how many kids. So I don't even start with the birth certificate. I start with the
mm.
obituary
And then
because
it
that
has
gives
names of
everything.
relatives too. The obituary has the family
That has all
name
the family.
of
It has all the
everybody.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
because
you know the
That's a
people
good
who,
idea.
children. You know
mhm,
the children. You
right.
know the. I mean, you. That's where I. And it sounds like a crazy place to start, but that's where I get the truth mostly, because sometimes even when you're digging in articles, they're wrong because somebody has just repeated an article they found.
Right.
This is true.
That's true. You know,
Now,
when my father passed, I was given the assignment to write the biography because my father was a very prominent person. So
Hmm.
his obituary in the program was a biography. It wasn't like a
Yeah,
deceased one.
yeah,
And my mother, who died in 2002, my dad passed in 2021. So, but my mother kept like every article that was ever written about him in a binder. So, like the community newspaper, some
yeah,
things I found out about my dad I didn't even know
yeah,
until I had to write the obituary, the biography
yeah,
for the program.
yeah.
So, yeah, funerals bring out a lot of information,
It brings so much
you know.
information, and people are always surprised that I say I start there. And
But
it's just a great place to start because then that tells me where to go research, what to go find. So I know she graduated from Fordham, so let me go see what year. Usually they have the year in the obituary, but then you can find out a whole bunch of other stuff.
mhm,
Because now I know how old she was when she got there, all kinds of things from the obituary.
and then also like if you can study like what was happening at the time she was at the
Always do
school,
that.
right,
Yeah.
the news
the
surrounding the
current
time
events at
period.
that time.
I always include the current events of the time.
Yeah.
I always want to go, the book I'm working on now, I wanted to know, so what was happening in 1947? The world had just come out of World War II. And I wanted to know what were Black people listening to on the radio? Well, Jackie Robinson was a rookie. And so I've listened to some of the clips and I love including what was going on at the time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now the other tricky part about doing all of this research is you get all of this cool information. And
Hmm.
then you have to start to figure out, okay, what do I include in the story? What is
Yeah.
going to be background? What
Yeah.
Yeah, what is going to be left out? And it gets hard. Like, okay, everything starts to be important, and then everything's
No,
important.
but everything isn't important. See, what you really
Yes,
need to
yes,
do is I decide what period of time. I'm not writing a cradle to the grave story. That's a
yes.
biography.
Right.
So I decide what period of time. So when we found Eunice and Polly, the only time that's important is when they were working on the case to put Lucky down.
Right. So you don't need
That's
to talk
our
about when they
story.
were when they were born, when
I
they're
don't need
growing
to talk
up.
about when they were
Yeah.
born or
Okay.
afterwards.
Okay.
So
Okay.
even though we have all this information in history when we read the books and everything, we are only doing this period of time. I think
Okay.
it was 2 years. And that totally helps you with what you're going to include because everything isn't important. Just what happened in those 2 years is important. But
Okay.
that's a good question because people don't realize that. So with a pair of aces, it was just the 2 years of putting. The only thing we cared about was how did these two women put Lucky Luciano in jail. So
Okay.
through flashbacks and through conversations, we'll say things like she went to Fordham University, or we have a flashback in the book on how Polly, and this is a real story, she was sent here from Russia by herself, a Russian Jew, when she was 12 years old and didn't even speak any English. And family members didn't want her and everything. She got raped and was on the streets by herself.
Wow.
So we do that in a flashback because that's important to who she grew up to be.
Okay.
So those kinds of things become important.
So we don't have that much time left, but I do want to ask, you spend a lot of time writing as a solo author, and you've written, I know you and Rashonda wrote some books as well,
Uh-huh.
but this is a different kind of craft because it's historical.
Yeah.
So how do you balance writing with someone?
With someone
Is
else.
your style similar? How do you merge
Yeah,
the two?
our styles aren't similar, which I think makes it really good because you get to we write every word of every book together. One of us will take the
Oh,
first draft of a chapter.
okay.
And then we switch and give it to, so by the time we're editing every word of a pair of aces, I can take responsibility for. Every word Marie can take responsibility for. And you know
Okay.
what's so interesting? Someone asked me recently on one of these, if money wasn't an issue, wasn't a concern, which would I rather do if I could only do one from this point forward? Me by myself or me with Marie? I do me with Marie. Because having a partner, and she's like she's an equal partner. She's a type A personality. So it's not a heavy lift for me, it's just like an
Mm-hmm.
equal lift. And having a partner that you could just talk through everything with honestly. And she's like I always say she's my writing soulmate because we can say whatever we want to each other because we know the only thing that matters is that the book is good.
Okay.
And so she can call me up when we were writing this book. I'm a slow burn kind of writer, and this book is not a slow burn. The mafia is at the door. And so I wrote one scene, and Marie called me up and said, Victoria, you've got to move this along faster. And I was like, why? I want them to have tea. She's like, don't you think I like a good cup of tea? I like a good cup of tea, but the mafia's at the door. Move it along. Just I was cracking up, but she was talking just like that. And you need a partner like that you trust.
Yes.
Mhm.
That, so I could say, oh God, but she's right. But
Yeah.
she's like, don't you think I like a good cup of tea? But the mafia is at the door. And so you need people like you. I don't think everybody can write together.
Mhm.
You need someone because somebody else, I might have said, well, I know more than them. I'm going to keep that tea in there. But I trust her and I know that all she wants is for the book to be good. So I can call her up and say, we're not putting this in. We're not,
Right.
or one time when we were writing the first lady, she didn't want to use the N word. And I said, we have to write an authentic book.
Right.
Yes.
They
Hmm.
didn't say N word. And she's
Right.
like,
They
I
did
can't do
not.
it. She's like, I
Mhm.
can't do it. I said, you're writing it with me. You can't do it maybe by yourself, but you can do it with me. So we had a big thing about it because she's like, I can't. I'm not calling anybody that. And I was like, yes, we are. But she trusts me.
Mhm.
And so we did it.
Yeah. The other thing about you all reading every word of the book is when you discuss the book, you know the book cover to cover.
Cover
So
to
you
cover.
both can discuss scenes or the whole thing and easily because you've
Yeah.
invested in it. So
Yeah.
we're at the very end of our
I
time.
know, I am. So that
But
went fast.
It went very, very fast. But we did put the links. We put the link to your website as well as the link, the Amazon link to a pair of aces in the chat. So everybody, please click the link and purchase this book
it's your
and read
copy.
it and give a
Yeah.
review.
Yes,
Yes,
and
leave
Tony
a review.
Bonita, this copy will be on its way to you this week.
Yay. Perfect. Well, thank you, ladies. This was fun. We
Yeah,
need more time, though.
yeah, well, 30 minutes is just the right amount of time.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
people can't talk that much. Some people are shy. They
We
wrote
get ready to
Oh,
hang up on them after
hey,
15 minutes,
yeah, we
Victoria.
have to like pull it out of them.
you don't think I'm shy?
So
Not one of your
that's
shy
not the
ones?
case with you. So anyway,
Love
oh,
you, ladies. Love
all
you,
right. We'll
ladies.
see you
Bye-bye.
soon.
Okay,
Okay,
bye-bye.
bye-bye. All right. Yeah, we've both known Victoria since the beginning, since
Yes.
forever, like forever. So now our next guest has a nonfiction book, and he has logged in twice, and I'm not sure which one is him. So we'll find out. And his name is
Look, he
Ronald
has so much to
Bonner.
say. He needed to be logged in twice.
Twice. So we've got two logins. I logged in twice, but we need to find out which one you want to utilize, which login, Mr. Bonner, and then we'll delete the other one. Because usually what will happen is there'll be some feedback and we'll get feedback on the other device.
And what can you hear? Can you hear us?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
I'm off of the second one.
Well, it's still showing up on the screen. And you look foggy like a film over you or something. Like you're
It
in a
might just
tunnel.
it might just be his light.
It looks foggy. And we want you to be clear. There we go. There we go. And you have a collar, so you're a man of the cloth, apparently.
So one is gone.
Okay. Which we did I didn't know that. So
Oh,
which
you didn't see the Reverend Doctor part, huh?
no, I know. It said this Ronald Bonner is on my information. So which
Um,
denomination are you?
Evangelical Lutheran Church in America.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you.
And we want to talk about your book, which it's called Making It
It's blurry,
Plain.
isn't it?
Now put it close to your body and then raise it up. Well,
There
we
we go.
want to still be able to see your face though. So, uh, okay, then raise it. You can put that in front of your face just to show us the cover. And then, okay,
Blurry.
making it plain. So you're talking about deconstructing racism. And now is this a memoir or?
It's part of my doctoral work, and it's also part of a book I wrote in 2015 called No Bigotry Allowed. So I wrote that book in
Okay.
2015 to that was a short book, just to start a conversation about race and the fact that we live in a racist society and how do we address race. So I wrote that book, and then I started a doctoral program in 2019, finished it in 22, and then I wrote the second book, incorporating what I wrote in the first book about the issues of bigotry, because for me, bigotry is the fuel that drives racism, which is the economic engine that helps to sustain white supremacy. If the engine would go, white supremacy would go. And we've had examples of that. The biggest one was during Reconstruction, when people had fairer or more access to the benefits of this society. And we found white people, well, we weren't there then, but the evidence supports that white people had to go to work for Black people. So the idea, the notion of white supremacy was evaporating, but people were so angry and you had the backlash. So in 1877, you had the end of Reconstruction. But if Reconstruction had been able to continue, the idea of white supremacy, I believe, would be gone. Bigotry would still may remain, but with the economic engine of racism being depleted of its ability to continue to institutionalize harm against primarily persons of color, the notion of white supremacy would be gone. And probably we could get to a point where even bigotry would be nuanced in our society and not mainstream. So
Well,
that's what prompted the book.
bigotry isn't always race dependent. People can be bigots basically for anything. It can be class based, it can be region based. It's not just a race thing, unfortunately.
No, race is not necessarily, excuse me. Yeah, bigotry is not limited to race, but in our context, bigotry is what fuels racism and white supremacy in our context, in our culture. So yeah, you can be, and a lot of times people conflate prejudice with preference. Prejudice and bigotry are normally hateful types of favoritism, where preference is, people ask me all the time, I'm originally from Chicago, I live in Atlanta, White Sox or Cubs. That's a preference, that's not a prejudice. And that's where we sometimes confuse prejudice with preference. Prejudice tends to be hateful and it's unwarranted.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I'm going to ask a rhetorical question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think, personally, your personal opinion, do you think that it's possible to eradicate racism?
I believe you can move it to the point where it is no longer harmful or impactful. And that's what this book helps people understand, is that racism is learned, and therefore, if it's learned, it can be unlearned. Racism has a beginning, and if we do the work, then racism can have an ending. Howard Zinn writes that racism may be national, but it's not natural. And because it is not natural, the narratives that support it to be natural or seemingly natural is based off of a racist common sense, not a non-racist common sense or an anti-racism common sense, but of a racist common sense that's born by the notions of white supremacy. So can it be mitigated to the point that is less than impactful? Certainly. I believe it is.
Okay, mitigated, but
The
not
only,
eradicated.
the only problem
Mitigated
I
to
see
the point
with
that it doesn't have the
Not
harmful
harmful.
impact that it has today.
Okay.
but the only problem I see with racism being unlearned is that you have to be willing to unlearn it.
Yeah,
And there we see example after example after example, even in current society, where no matter what you tell someone, no matter how much evidence you show that person, if they have this inherent belief in them, nothing is going to change their mind. So they are unwilling to learn. And so it can be unlearned, but it won't be unlearned if they don't have the willingness to unlearn it.
right. So you have to work with two things, a critical mass of people so that you got enough people who are in positions of power so that people who want to continue to be racist are no longer rewarded for their acts of racism. The second thing is you start building relationships with people whom you wouldn't normally build relationships with. Martin Marty out of the University of Chicago, passed away recently, talks about heretical friendships. That means making friends with people whom you would not normally become friends with. And in those ways, then you start building the critical mass of people who are willing to change their minds and are willing then to go do the work so that we can mitigate racism in our society. It's possible, it's doable, but a lot of people don't think it's doable, so they don't even have it registered. There's an old blues song, been down so long, getting up ain't even on my mind. We've got to put the notion in people's mind that things can change. Regardless of what we see today, they can change.
And people trying to pursue remedies for racism or identifying it, or it almost seems like a game of whack-a-mole. You get it on one over here, and then it pops up over here, and it's almost like a pointless exercise because you can't change the way somebody thinks. Now you can shape a child, you can shape a child, like newly formed person, you can raise them with open thoughts, fair thoughts. But for adults that have already been raised in it, a lot of times when they try to, the correction is an overcorrection.
Two things.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am. One, I don't believe people, the adage about you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I don't believe that. I believe that you can have people unlearn racism. You go on social media, there are people all over the place saying, I used to be a racist. There are many people who are, they've gone beyond just being a racist in recovery, but they have actually recovered, and now they promote Blackness. They promote anti-racism. They promote an environment of non-racism. So you can unlearn it even as an adult. The text says, you mentioned children. When I was a child, I thought as a child, but when I became an adult, I put away childish things. A lot of people my age, I'm in my mid-70s, who are racist, grew up in a racist environment. They grew up in segregation. They were a child. Prayerfully, we can work with those people so that they put away those childish notions of white supremacy. And I've seen it happen. That's the thing, is I've seen it happen. And because I've seen it happen, I know it can happen.
I do agree with you, but I just think that it takes more than conversation. There's got to be almost a mass unlearning, so to speak. For instance, in popular media, there are a lot of stereotypes that are perpetuated. In the professional environment, there are a lot of beliefs, and then we see it when we look at the leadership structure, and we don't see many people who look like us at the top of the leadership structure. And then even when you do, often that person is blamed for everything wrong with that's going wrong with that company. So and so that person of color winds up being the scapegoat for everything that's going wrong.
Right.
And then it's not just on the white person either. On the Black person, we have I'll go back to the professional environment where the Black person said, I'm not here to make friends. So they don't try to make friends with people of other races, or they don't, or if they're looking for an executive coach, they're only looking for an executive coach who looks like them and not somebody who looks like somebody else, because there's a distrust that somebody who doesn't look like me is going to want to coach me. So there's always a separation, or everybody's going out for happy hour because the office wants to have a get together, but the person of color says, I'm not hanging out with those people, I'm going over here. So they don't give themselves a chance to get to know those people, so that unlearning never has a chance to take place, because they don't give themselves a chance to get to know the other person.
So you're saying we're still sitting in the cafeteria at the table by ourselves?
It happens
Well,
sometimes.
it's by choice though.
It
And
Some,
why
is by
not?
choice.
You know,
sometimes it is,
why
it's,
not? Because the other people are sitting together.
it's
So
where
what's
we
wrong
feel
with us
safe.
sitting together?
It's sometimes it's a matter
Yes,
of safety.
exactly. Exactly what you just said is where we feel safe. We feel safe being around people who look like us. But when you're one of the only, you can't, your safety net is gone. You don't have a bunch of other people who look like you, and you're not giving yourself a chance to get to know the other people in your office. So you don't have any advocates when you get blamed for everything that goes wrong in the company. There's nobody who's advocating for you or standing up for you because you never gave yourself a chance to get to know the other people. So they don't know you, they don't know your work ethic. And all I'm saying is there's a balance in both ways. The unlearning has to be both ways. It can't we can't put the responsibility on the other race to say you guys have to have the responsibility for unlearning these things if we're not taking the time to unlearn certain things ourselves.
I don't disagree with you. Partially, there is a thing called internalized oppression. Some people refer to it as internalized racism, where we internalize what the oppressors do to us. I mean, that's sociology 101. So that does occur. So we have to unlearn the narratives that are part of our society as well. That's why so many people don't support other people of color. Isabel Wilkerson talks about from baseball cards to cereal boxes to television, what we see are white people, especially white people who are in the 70s and the 60s. I mean, age-wise. That's all they've seen. So that's all they know. Black people have seen the same thing, and they want to be like that. So they don't realize they have the power to be able to make change in their society. So part of the job is to be intrepid, not insipid, and being willing to make the difference and say the things that need to be said. What's the guy? I can't think of his name right now. He just bought, he owns the Griot. He just bought another large company. He's a billionaire now. I remember when people called him the poor man's Arsenio Hall. Now he's a billionaire because he made the necessary moves to impact his
You're not
life
talking about Byron
positively.
Allen, are you?
Yes, I am. Byron.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
They
As long
used
as
to call him the poor man's Arsenio Hall. Now he's a billionaire because he was intrepid enough to do the things he needed to do to get to where he wants to be. We talk about manifestation all the time, but we need to direct that energy so that we as a people can be more supportive of us, so that we can be supportive of one another, so that we can build the synergy and the foundations and the structures so that we can be as successful as we want to be. And it is possible. But
well, I
it's
agree.
going to take work, and we have to pivot. And there
Mhm.
will be times when we may have to pivot. And as far as what you said, yes, there's at least 4 or 5 different strands. Actually, there's like 6, 7 strands of institutions that work together to create racism and keep it going. And one of those is religion. Religion
Yeah.
has a lot to do with it. What is it, 1400s when it's got the papal bulls? It basically says a Christian nation can discover a non-Christian nation. And what that really meant is European countries can discover and control countries of people of color, whether they're Christian or not.
Yeah, now I recently developed a philosophy based on just my years of living and being an independent entrepreneur. I've been self-employed since I was 25. It's really it creates a freedom in many ways. One, I don't have to deal with racism at work because if somebody is white in my workplace, they work for me. So, and if they don't, and you know, I've never had a problem with a white employee. This is interesting. As far as work, as far as respect or any of that, it's interesting. But anyway, I I've I've come to the conclusion that as a group and individually, we need to declare that we're free in our minds and then act on it. See,
Free your
free
minds and everything
people,
else will follow.
yeah, a free people does certain things. When you're free, there are certain actions you take. For one, you are much more proactive. You're not reacting to what's happening to you. You're proactive. You develop a plan and a strategy. You don't sit around and wait or bellyache. So because no one's coming to save us. That's I know. I think there was a book about that, but we need to declare we're free in our mind because that's where it starts in your mind,
Free your
and
mind
then
and your
act
will
on it.
follow.
And
And from the
that's what we need
70s.
to do because then we'll start to correct some of the things ourselves. And if we do that, then the respect we get will grow. We'll get the respect from that, or we won't care what other people think. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Um,
I agree with you.
so now,
I've
what made you focus on these two topics for your books?
life
Okay,
having
well,
been
I understand life.
have been impacted growing up on the south side of Chicago, in a relatively lower socioeconomic working class community. Other people have other names for it. I grew up right off of 47th Street, what we refer to as the low end back in the day, Kenwood, Oakland, not Kenwood Hyde Park, which is where Obama has residence.
Mhm.
So I would go into Kenwood, Oakland, I'd go into Hyde Park, and I'd see how other people live. And I started thinking I want to live a different life than what people relegate to people who mostly grew up in my community. You could go get a job and you work all your life and then you die at 65, because you've had to work hard all your life and people have no expectations, of you to do anything great. But I
Mhm.
wanted to do something different. I didn't want to have that life that was projected for a kid from the hood. So I've had encounters with the police since I was 10 or 11. So I'm a kid, 12 years old, graduated eighth grade, 5'7". So I was tall for my age. I graduated high school. I was 6'2" and 16. So I was still young and I was tall. I was big. I was imposing. I was identified as a threat. First time I was pulled over by the police, I had to be about 10 or 11 years old, and they were going to arrest me because of what they say. I look like the suspect.
Mhm.
But I was able to point to where I lived, which was a house. My aunt in the hood got used to get awards from the defender for her garden. Plus, my cousin, who was 6'5" and probably about 260, was a patrolman, and he was the one who worked on the squadrons, primarily lifting corpses and putting them in the squadron and taking them to the morgue. So he was a big, strong guy. They knew who he was. And I referred to it as the coded gaze, which comes from Joy. I don't want to mess up her last name, but they call her the poet of code. She's the one that wrote the book about unmasking AI, and she refers to it as a coded gaze. So the police had a coded gaze of me as a black kid whom they could just throw into the system anytime they wanted to call. So I grew up with that, having to deal with issues of racism. And I lost a scholarship to the University of Colorado in 1969 for because they did a sweep of my neighborhood because they were looking for gangbangers. So racism has impacted me. And so this is my way of trying to get back and to address the issue and help people unlearn racism so that we can have a non-racist society. Now, I know there's a lot of debate. Angela Davis, when she was 18, made a comment about anti-racism, and people have run with that. I see that anti-racism as a mission statement, and I see non-racist society as a vision statement. Just like Dr. King in his I Have a Dream speech, the first half of the speech was the mission statement. America owes us a check. The second half of I Have the Dream, that's the vision statement. But because of internalized racism, we want to argue about every little thing with one another. And we don't need to argue. We just need to better understand. So, yes, Dr. Lawson, we do need to have internalized racism training as well. And this book can help people unlearn internalized racism that we as Black people have towards one another so that we can work better together. And Ms. Richardson, I know you don't remember me, but in the early 2000s, when you still had a brick and mortar store, I used to call on you when I worked for Fortress Press. So that was 20-something
Oh,
years ago.
Fortress
So
Press.
I've been knowing you
For a long
for a
time.
while.
I've been consistent.
Yes, you have. And you pivot. You made a pivot in your business
Yes, we
model.
did. We had to.
Yeah.
If you are an entrepreneur or self-employed and you don't pivot, you will die.
Yeah.
That's because you can't just stay where you are because the world is moving and you have to move with it. And you have to decide what aspects that you're going to adopt. You don't have to do everything the world's doing because a lot of the things that it's doing right now, I don't want to participate in just because I don't know where it's going. And it's more for it, younger people are tied into it more. And that's fine. But there's some levels of professionalism I will never go below ever. And and TikTok is an amazing tool. I'm not on TikTok. I see videos from TikTok. But it requires you videotaping yourself all the time. You got to be going everywhere. You walk out the door, you got to videotape yourself. You go to the bathroom, you're doing. I'm in here. I'm doing number two. It's it's just you're putting yourself on video. It's like you're not living. You're just videoing. You're just taping yourself. When that there was a video. It was been a while back, but I saw it on Facebook, and it was so indicative. It was so symbolic. There was a club where there were some younger people, like in their 20s, and then there were older people in their 40s and 50s. The people in their 40s and 50s were dancing in the club to the music. The 20 somethings were in their phones. They were sitting there with their phones in their faces. They weren't living the experience. So I don't
Don't
want to go
disagree.
down that rabbit hole.
Don't disagree. Don't
You know.
disagree at all. You mentioned something, and it's in the book. It's regarding curricula, explicit, implicit, and the null curricula. You mentioned entrepreneurs and death. I don't know if you've been to the museum in Montgomery, the Legacy Museum. Some people refer to it as the Hanging Museum. So they have memorials for over 4,000 people, Black people mostly, who were lynched. What people don't realize is that the majority of those persons who were lynched were entrepreneurs. We're told you can't do this and you can't do that. You've never done this. We've done it. We just get killed for it. Most of the people who were sent back to prison as part of the penal system, where they had to pay off the fine for being arrested for walking down the street, if they didn't have a job, many of those people were also entrepreneurs. They just didn't have a white person to vouch for them. So they end up going to prison, and many of them never got out of prison. So we come from an entrepreneurial background, mentality, but it
I
has been
agree.
beaten and taken from us. And we've been told you're not business minded. You can't do this. My great aunt, third grade education. I mean, built, bought a house, owned a house, did all those things. I know other people whose parents and great grandparents were very successful in life with a minimal education, formal education, but they had it in them. It's in their DNA. It's in our DNA to be successful. But our society has tried to manipulate us to the point that we don't think unless we can play with a ball that we can be successful in life.
Hey, I know we're running out of time, but
Yes, ma'am.
this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about perpetuating stereotypes. Because on one hand, the narrative that we as a race are lazy is out there. But if you look at statistics, we lead all of the races in entrepreneurship. We Black women lead all of the races in advanced degrees. So that doesn't sound like a lazy community. But the thing is that we don't push those narratives. We push the negative narratives.
We don't
And I
challenge
think
those
we as a
narratives.
society, yes.
Right. You know when Black people were first called lazy?
When we were slaves working for free.
16,
Yeah.
19.
Yeah. When we were slaves working for free. That's
That's when we were called lazy.
unpaid.
16,
Well,
19.
we're at the end of our time,
Yes,
Minister
ma'am.
Bonner. What do you go by? What's your title? Is it Reverend? Is it
My full title is Reverend Dr. Ronald S. Bonner Sr.
okay? Or Reverend
But
Dr. Bonner. And I believe in giving people their due on the doctor part when it's an earned doctorate. I believe in that. So
it is earned. I earned it from Candler School of Theology, part of Emory University. So it's a good degree.
yeah. Okay, well, take care and thank you so much for being on the show. We appreciate you and continue success with your books.
Well, thank you both. I appreciate it. And it's available online and in bookstores.
Okay.
Okay, we
All
did
right.
put your link in the chat. So everybody click the link, please, and purchase this important book.
All right. Thank you. Be well.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Good night.
All right. Good night.
Okay. Well, our final guest logged off. So I'm gonna text.
He came on and
He
off a
came
couple of
on 2 or
times.
3 times
Yeah.
and now he's not there. So let me someone asked a question, so I will answer that question, then I'm gonna text him. Bonnie Taylor Williams asked how authors can be guests on the platform. And go to, you see the URL at the top of the
Yeah,
screen.
I sent her the link. I put
Oh,
the link
okay.
in the chat. But you
Okay.
can go ahead and explain it too, so that way we get it both ways. Yeah.
Well, I was going to just say go to the link, the blackauthormattertv.com, and it explains how to be a guest on the show. So we are, and we're rapidly approaching our 6th anniversary next month. It'll be 6 years having this show, and Quan has been on the show. I think this is his 4th time, maybe, but he's been at the festival 3 or 4 times. And I met Quan at the first festival we had at a hotel, and that was in 2009, I think. And we've been friends ever since.
First of all, get off of mute.
Yeah,
I know,
okay.
you seem
So I
right.
can talk about how you just drank from this fountain of youth. Because why do you look 10 years younger than the last time I saw you?
I'm trying. Thank you. I'm trying to eliminate the stress from my life.
That's what I'm
Hey,
talking
that's it. Yeah.
about.
Eliminate the stress and you get some longevity. The
Yeah,
stress is a killer for sure.
it is. And I'm gonna have y'all cracking up because y'all probably seen me keep going in and leaving the meeting, right?
Yes, we did. I was
So
getting ready to text you.
so I guess Zoom did some type of update. So when I opened it, it didn't look like, and I'm like, something is not right. But when you started the meeting, it got back regular.
Okay.
So I was like, I felt like the old man.
Zoom does stuff, and it's it scares me because you never know when they're gonna do it. They don't announce it; they just do it.
No,
And
they just
then
do
it
it.
affects people.
They just
We've
do
had
it.
to make adjustments with this show. Like for the 6 years we've had it, we've had to do different things to get around their changes. And I'm just grateful that my stepson, Robert, who you met when you came to Houston, he's a techie.
Good guy,
So
good young man.
he's up on everything that's going on with technology. So, and he learned at the foot, sitting at the feet of his father, who's now, retired, and he's not part of the tech world as it is now. But he was Willie's like twin. And so Willie was a tech person, and Robert just was following him around, and learned
That's the
tech.
best way. That's the
That's the
best
best
way.
way.
You observe and learn.
Yeah. That's
I'm still trying to figure this out. I was doing a live on TikTok, right? And this shows my age. And we having a good time, and I pressed the button. I don't know what button I pressed. And it was 18 people joined into my live like this that I didn't know. So I'm like, well,
Were
how did
they
I?
real or were they AI?
No, they were real. They were real people.
Okay.
Like, I guess I pressed something and it pulled them in as like co-hosts. And I'm like, I don't know what I did. So one of the dudes was really nice. Young man was like, yo, just go and press this button. And I'm trying to figure it, because I didn't have my glasses on. I'm trying to figure it out. And I hear a girl in the background like, oh my God, somebody help Unk out. I said, I'm like, really?
Now you're on.
They call me. She's like, somebody help Unk out, because I'm fumbling like, what button? Like, I don't know what to press. They like, somebody help Unk out. I said, all right. I said, this is y'all app. TikTok is y'all app.
Yeah, I just finished talking about TikTok. I'm not gonna do videos like that. I'm not gonna be videotaping my life and have people out in my business like that. My daily activities are nobody's business but mine. And I share when I
But
want
I keep trying to tell you, Gwen, I'm on TikTok and Facebook and the threads, all that, all the time. I don't tell y'all every minute of my life.
I know, but I don't even want to go down that road. I don't even want to go down that road. You know, some roads I don't want to go down.
That's a dark rabbit hole, because what it
is. I said it was a rabbit hole.
But then again, you got to look at somebody. What did Kai Cenat made? Like $30 million. But I'm not built for like this to have you in my life at all times. Sometimes I don't want to put on no lotion and look at the camera. I just want to exist however I'm comfortable at the time. I can't have y'all in my life like that.
Well, some of them are
existing. Have you ever seen me on the Instagram putting lotion on?
No, I haven't. But I tell you what, it's people doing all kind of crazy stuff just to get likes. There's this woman who just sits and eats a platter of food, like for a whole family.
No, she's not doing that to get likes. That, you know,
that's a culture. That's a culture.
Thing makes big money.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. The likes, I mean,
about getting likes. She gets paid.
I mean likes meaning money. When I said likes, I meant money. Likes are being turned into money, clicks or views or whatever. But
that mukbang, that is a thing. That mukbang where people just eat and slurping it, that's a thing. It's a big thing on the internet.
Yes. See, I believe the thing has now taken people to like their base, like animalistic level, to where they're not thinking anymore. They're just reacting or doing stuff for attention. It's not the world. I'm not going down that path or whatever. And I know it's out there and it's big, and people say everybody's not on it. I'm not on it, so that means everybody's not on it. But I'm more power to the people who do it. I've seen some people do things that it's not dignified. You know, where's your dignity? Right. You know, and it's just not. I think they'll regret it later on, or maybe they won't. Maybe the society is where nobody regrets anything. You just do stuff and then you just don't care.
Well, you know, I agree with you. There are some people out there doing some crazy things, but it doesn't mean that we have to join with them. You know, I try to stay very classy on my social media. You know, I'm not going to get crazy. I might do some things and crack some jokes or whatever, but you're not going to see me just sacrificing my pride just to get a few more likes.
Well, I think I see them, Rhonda, and I think your videos are very tasteful. So you are right. But I think it's the majority on TikTok aren't. You know, TikTok is just a whole nother thing. It started off with the dancing. You know, people just doing
about dancing. To say, Quan, you dance on TikTok?
Hell no. Hell no. Listen, but you know, all of that stuff comes from Vine. Like TikTok is just a habit of Vine. And people are making money. But again, like Gwen was saying, some people sacrifice their dignity. There's just certain things, like I'm not like even when I go live and I know my readers enjoy it and I do it, you know, when I interact and we have a hoot, but I'm always just anxious. I'm socially awkward. So I'm anxious to be like, especially like when it's that dead time, like if you're talking and there's nobody talking, it feels like I'm talking to myself.
Right. Well, what I read somewhere, I don't know where I read it, or I might have seen a video or something, that when you're doing a live and nobody's there, just go ahead and save the live, because you can always cut that video up into smaller pieces, like 1 minute snippets, and that makes even more content. And you can use it for something else. So sometimes I go on a live, even if I'm the only one on there, I'll save that video and I might cut it up and make it into something else later.
Now, see, here's the trick. When I go live, I never go live with an agenda or a plan. I'll just cut the
Right.
camera on and just talk to whoever's on.
Oh, okay.
So,
I never go live without a plan.
no, I go live with it because that's how I write books. I don't write books with a plan. I just go.
Sometimes, yeah, just go ahead and just
Interesting.
do the stuff.
So that's called a pantsy. Isn't that
Is it?
by the seat of your
pantser.
pants? A
Oh yeah, by the
pantser.
seat of your pants. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
by the seat of your pants. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the total opposite. I'm the
I
total
know.
opposite.
I know.
You know, but it takes all kinds to make a world. Now, tell us about your new book,
Which
House of the
one?
Rising Sun.
Oh, House of the Rising Sun. Yes, that
Do
is.
you have a copy handy?
I do. Hold on. I do. And I was supposed to have them right next to me so that when y'all asked the question, I was prepared because I felt like the question was coming.
Yes.
Yes.
But it's fine.
So, House of the Rising Sun.
It's upside down, isn't it?
Is it? Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm not good with technology. House of the Rising Sun came out at May 5th. May 5th,
Okay.
House of the Rising Sun. It's about the Howell family. The husband is a crime writer.
It's upside down.
What? Who's? So, House of the Rising Sun is about the Howell family. The husband is a crime writer. The wife is a surgeon. The wife grew up in small town Pennsylvania. When her mother passes, she comes back she's been gone for some years. So she comes back to take her mother's old position at the hospital and to continue her medical research. The husband is like this all-American dad, soccer dad. They have this straight-A kid, little Nicky. He's the PTA dad. He volunteers his time at a youth detention center teaching creative writing, but he's very reclusive. He's one of those people that doesn't like to be seen. And come to find out, he doesn't like to be seen because he's hiding a secret. So not long after they move to this town, people start dying. Mm-hmm. And they're dying, and each one of the deaths is connected to a passage from one of his books. So someone is kind of trying to point the direction at him as like being a serial killer. But it really goes deeper than that, and I'm trying to talk around it for people that haven't read it.
Yeah, don't do spoilers, you know.
No, I'm not gonna do spoilers. So like, and someone is trying to get his attention. And he's like, yo, nobody knows me. Even the picture, like, he's so reclusive that even the pictures on the back of his books are not really him. He loathes the limelight. He does not want to be seen. He just wants to live his life and raise his children and, hang out with his wife. But someone is calling him out with these murders. And so he has to figure out who it is, why, and how much do they know.
Oh, sounds like my kind of book.
So, yeah.
Thrilling. Mm-hmm.
It sounds like something I would want to read as well.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. And see, this is the thing that people get so confused about me. People say, oh, Kawan is a great urban fiction writer. I'm not an urban fiction writer. I was categorized in urban fiction because I like baseball hats and I like smoking weed. But I write a little bit of everything. So like House of the Rising Sun, Black Lotus, and all of those stories, they're all thrillers. They're all thrillers and hard-boiled detective novels, which is where I excel, with a sprinkle of paranormal.
Okay. What about Animal?
Oh, Animal was,
all the different animals.
If you read Animal, and everybody says Animal is one of the greatest urban fiction books series or whatever, but it wasn't that. It wasn't that. It was just a story about a guy and redemption. So with Animal, you had a little bit of everything. You had espionage, you had action, you had police corruption, you had everything except drug dealers, primarily. And I guess that's what makes up urban fiction, drug dealers and pimps and whatever the hell, or whatever new category is. But you never saw any of that in those Animal books. And it was such a good story. God bless, knock on wood. I'm so thankful. But it was such a good story. Nobody really paid attention to that part. They weren't drug dealers.
Now, when you first started writing, did you know or did you have a vision, or did things just kind of move along? Did you know you would be where you are now when you first started out? When I first met Quan, 18 years ago, I think it was,
I
or
was still,
17.
I was still a little rough around the edges when we first met. I was
Yeah,
still
you were. You were, but you were still respectful. And I can
absolutely.
appreciate that.
I got the kinder, gentler Quan.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I
yeah.
only heard about the rough around the edges Quan back in the day.
Wow.
But when I finally met you, you were the kinder,
Yeah,
gentler Quan.
I was a mess back then. I was a mess. I was probably about 60 pounds lighter. Ah, yeah, no, I definitely had a lot of I still had a lot of growing to do. And you know what that for one, I was young. People don't realize how young I was when I started writing and getting published. And for two, I didn't know any better. So it's like I had bad mentors, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
So you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
people who I looked to for guidance gave me poor direction.
Okay.
So I was kind of just being me every time I showed up somewhere. I'm me, I'm hood, I'm the young rock star. I was the first person to walk into Barnes and Nobles with a gallon of Hennessy and a pan of chicken. At the time, I thought this is lit, not knowing, boy, you're gonna set yourself back another 10 years with this foolishness you did. And they looked at
Thought
me
you were
like,
gonna give everybody a shot and some chicken when they bought you.
yeah, because that's what I was doing back then. Like I would like if you bought a book, you get a free shot and some chicken. And I
Oh,
did it like at the
really?
Harlem Book Fairs, Barnes and Nobles. I did it at Borders. I was really like, so now you see like these book release parties and these functions going on where they like alcohol and accoutrements. Like that was me in the beginning. Can you imagine if you worked in Barnes and Nobles and here I come and I got 10 guys with me and we got chicken and we got weed and of course we're not busting out the weed, but we got chicken and we got liquor because we're like, yo, because we came up in the trenches. And when I started selling books before I even got into Barnes and Nobles, I did business with the vendors in the mom and pop stores. So I was always in the hood and that demographic. So the Barnes and Noble, I'm like, all right, well, this works. So, and the liquor wasn't, let's say, I want to get everybody drunk that's coming to buy my books. It wasn't that. It was like, yo, you know what? I appreciate you. You bought a book, here, take a shot. You and your lady, take a shot. Y'all want something to eat? That kind of thing. But the other folks looked at me as he's niggerish. Not knowing, I'm just so appreciative. These people came out and spent their $15 with me. I want to give them something back.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to understand like that won't fly. And I still do it from time to time, but now I know where it's appropriate to do it and where it's not appropriate to do it.
What did Barnes and Noble say? Because they don't have a liquor license. So I guess
Let
they
me tell you
weren't
something.
selling it. So I guess I guess they were shocked. Were they
They
shocked?
were shocked. Shocked is an understatement. This white lady was like, no, we can. I said, baby, it's cool. Yo, y'all set up. I'm talking, we came in with the card table. We set the card. I'm like, yo, y'all set up, baby, it's cool. Watch this. And they were apprehensive. But when I sold out every book in the store, they were kind of like, all right, well, he was niggerish, but he made us some money. So that's all. But at the end of the day, that's all a lot of people worry about, the bottom line.
Yeah, well, you have definitely led an interesting life, Juan. I've seen you at I think I see you at least every 2 years somewhere.
Yeah.
So I've seen you mature and evolve, and that's why I wondered if you knew where you were going to end up when you first started.
No clue. Like I was just living from one day to the next. I was supposed to write one book and go back to what I was doing. I was supposed to write one book and go back to trapping. But I fell so madly in love with words. It was like I always tell people, this was my mother's dream. I literally got to live my mother's dream. So and I fell in love with it, and I was like, but I still even to this day, every time a door opens for me, it's something that I didn't see coming. And I never thought oh, I'm gonna be this great writer. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna put out one book. I'm gonna get some money. I'm gonna feed these babies. I'm gonna put out 2 books. I'm gonna get some money. I'm gonna feed these babies. So I booked 3 or 4. I was like, hold on now. Maybe it's a little bigger than this. And still, I don't know where it's gonna take me, but I'm enjoying the hell out of the ride.
Yeah, didn't you tell me last time? Didn't you say you had done some screenwriting?
Yes.
So have any of them been made into movies?
this is the crazy thing. Like, people love to pee on your head and tell you it's raining.
Yeah, I get that.
And they and there've been offers, and it's like everybody. My thing is this. One thing I learned from my missteps with Triple Crown is that anything that I get into moving forward, I need to know at least, because I didn't know anything about publishing or the business of writing or anything when I signed the first deal. So I said, yo, moving forward, you got to know a little bit of something. You don't have to be an expert, but you have to know a little bit about everything that you get into. So with the film, so you have these people that come in like, yo, come on, we're going to give you some money. We want to do animal. No, let's not do animal. Let's do something else first so I can learn. And then maybe we'll talk about animal. Nobody want to hear that. They just want animal. They just want to think you're going to sound. I walked away from a really big deal for animal. And we got all the way we got all the way up to the phase with the like we had the directors, we had everything. We got all the way up to the phase with paperwork, and I just had a bad feeling, and I was like, I don't want to do it. And people would live it with me. People would live it like, yo, you put all this together, you're gonna leave this money on the table. This is life-changing money. And I said, it don't feel good. And as it turned out, it was a good thing that I walked away from that situation because it would not have ended well had I done that. So like this is why, again, when I say I want to know a little bit of something about everything that I'm going to get involved with. And we're like, and I got other stuff going on. Like I'm writing my own scripts. I've been actively working on helping to develop a television show for a long time. I'm not sure how much I can say about it, but I just know I've been at it for a long time. So like, that's always my passion. Like that's the next level. Like I'm not going to say I've done what I can do with books. I'm a fairly competent writer, but I'm also a sponge for knowledge. So I want to learn more. So I'm teaching myself how to write scripts and started writing those. And then people are coming. It's just that I don't think that the offers and the situations are where I see it. And when I say that, I don't mean I need $100 million Netflix deal. If the situation is right, you can give me $5,000 and I'll write the script and hand it to you if I know you're going to do right by my baby. And people may see this when I say that and say, you're cheapening yourself. No, I'm not cheapening myself. I'm well aware now than before of exactly what I'm worth. But it's about feeling good, a situation. Like those books with that I do with Akashic, like House of the Rising Sun. I don't get like, and not to put everybody in my financial business, I don't get huge advances like, say like a bigger house like Troubleman. But I know Akashic, where at Akashic, their hearts are in the right places. They understand the vision. So I don't mind taking less money because you understand the vision and I'll make more on the back end. So it's all about fit and feel for me. I didn't had enough bum ass deals to last me a lifetime. And I ain't got time for it no more.
Yeah, well, you know that's old wisdom because follow your first mind is what the old folks used to say. I had to learn it the hard way when I didn't do it. Now I always do it. If it doesn't feel right, and that's true about people. You have to, you know, if a person, well, let me put it like this. If someone lies to me, they will only do it once because I will not have anything to do with them. Because if they are lying,
sometimes it's not about them lying. It's just that if all they're showing you is the sparkly things, but they're not showing you the work that it took to buff that diamond into the sparkly thing, then there might be something to that. Why are you only showing me the sparkly thing? That's what happened in New Edition. They only got shown the sparkly thing. They didn't get shown. They didn't get shown anything else. I'm sorry.
Triple Crown.
Yeah.
Like I tell anybody, like, yo, I made, you know how much money I made? I got a $2,500 advance from Gangster and sold almost 100,000 books. And most of that money I never saw. But I'm so happy to be published. I'm like, okay, you could have signed back then. You could have signed me for a 20-book deal for that $2,500.
That was happening to so many authors back in the early 2000s. It happened to me as well. I mean, I'm not going to mention the publisher or whatever.
Oh, I say names. I say names.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, you know, it happened to me as well. You know, But back then we were all just so happy to be published.
Right.
You know, I got a book, and then after a while, like, wait a minute, I got a book, but
where's the money?
you know, royalty check.
Yeah,
Well,
where's that money? Like, and it was, it was so crazy. It was years later before I found out what I was really making. Because remember back then they didn't have BookScan. BookScan came out, I think, in 2006. And I was talking to somebody that I was doing some business with, and they would ask me about Gangster. Like, well, how many copies of Gangster do you think? I'm like, I don't know. They were like, now mind you, Gangster, I think Gangster was 4 years old at the time.
mm-hmm.
They were like, do you know that you scanned over 80,000 books? Now, mind you, the scan numbers don't include what we sold on the street, what we sold to the stores.
Right.
So I'm like, if I scanned 80 4 years after the book came out, imagine what the numbers I did when it was fresh.
Yeah. Well, you know, that happens to creative people.
It does.
In all the fields, you know, the music, you know, art, writing, the people who are in control, they know you're excited. They know that you want an opportunity. And a lot of the people, they don't get representation. They don't have a lawyer to look at the contract. They're just so excited to get signed that they don't. And then they realize too late that they really signed their own to get screwed. That's when the paperwork they signed.
Exactly, because look, and when you know, it took me, I had to fight this lady, and I hope she's watching. I had to fight this lady for 10 years to get the rights. And I say, listen, I tell her all the time, because you know she still harasses me to this day, but that's another story. I fought for 10 years to get the rights to my books back. And if I told you the dollar amount, you wouldn't believe me. And I said, all of this time, you put me through all of this shit for that? I could have been gave you that. But it's not about doing right. It's about control. I made little jail dude, little street dude, little project N-word. I made you in that control, but I was like a dog on a bone and never let go.
Wow. Well, you know, it happened to people at all levels because Prince, if you remember, he couldn't get his name. So he had to be a symbol for several years because they wouldn't let him use his name.
I know we went to a party like when all this was going on because 6 degrees of separation. My family, the Prince's lawyer was my family. So they're like, yeah, guys, you want to come out to a Prince is having a party? I want to come out. And we young dudes. I'm talking about we're young. I don't even think Gangster was out yet. We're young. We like, yeah. We go in this party. And they were like, yo, just don't look him in his eyes. Don't make eye contact with him. Oh, man. And this little dude came through and he was like, what's up, guys? And I promise you, I watched him walk across this room, and this is no lie. I put my hand on a stack of Bibles. His feet didn't move. He floated. Prince, and when all this was going on, he did a concert on, what was it, Webster Hall? We were somewhere in Manhattan, and he did this concert, and Prince, and he was just such a polarizing figure. And that was the thing, because like, this is the thing, y'all. As creatives, we don't want to be bothered with the nonsense that comes with the paperwork. We just want to create. But we have to be aware, because sometimes, you know, like, all right, and you trust these people. Like the first agent I had, not my current agent, I had hired someone from my neighborhood who was an agent, and I'm like, he was robbing me. He was conspiring with publishers, telling me I'm getting one thing, and he's getting like a kickback. So I'm like, it was always my people. Like,
well, and God we trust, and everybody else we check out. And that's really what we have to do.
I know that
Trust no one, because there are more dishonest people than honest people. I've learned that from being in business forever. There are more dishonest people than honest people, unfortunately. And also, unfortunately, we're at the end of our time, Juan. So
I didn't chat it up. Listen,
yeah,
wrapping it up.
Yeah, this is great.
House
it's upside down again. It's upside down again. The book is upside down.
House of the Rising Sun. In stores everywhere.
Rising Sun. Trouble Man. Is that in stores now too?
everywhere.
Your
It's
book
sold
out?
everywhere. This is published under Questlove's imprint. I
Oh.
don't remember to get that. This is a story about a detective, a disgraced detective who just came home from prison in the city of Philadelphia. So again, how we were saying about the difference between urban and thrillers.
Yes.
Thriller. This is a detective. It's like Law and Order, but with black people.
Oh, okay.
Well,
All
we
right.
did put your link for House of the Rising Sun in the chat. So everybody go ahead, click that link, get this book. Yes, let's continue to support. He's been in the game. How many years? What, 20?
This is my what is this? 2020. This is my 24th year.
24
Okay,
years. 24 years in the game.
Yeah.
24 years, baby. I'm still here. Knock on wood. Thank God. And I'm still relevant because
Yeah.
this is a tough game. This game will chew you up and spit you out.
Yeah. It is. Well, congratulations again.
Thank
And
you
we'll
so
be
much,
seeing
guys.
you in the future, I'm sure, with some other books you're doing next year or the year after.
Look, I got one more coming this year. Stay tuned though.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Have a great night.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Okay. Well, that's the end of this week's show. And we had a great lineup tonight. We'll be back next week for another episode of Black Authors Matter TV. I'm Gwen Richardson signing off.
And I'm Dr. Rhonda Lawson. Have a wonderful evening and a great week.
Thank you for tuning in and join us next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern for another edition of Black Authors Matter TV.